Did Max Verstappen deserve a penalty at the Miami GP in 2025? Now, the short version, TLDR, too long didn't read version is no, although I do not like this style of racing. Short answer here is that the inside is king. So as long as you have the inside, you're far enough along the other car on the inside line of any corner, then you are entitled to that corner, which is the key phrasing there, that you're entitled to that corner, which means as long as you keep it on track, you are, legally within the rules allowed to push the other car essentially off track, and it's your corner, making it for easier overtakes, hard defending as well. And here I'll go over to the clips real quick of the Miami GP. However, I want to preface this by saying I am not a Max fan. Just, for any biases that you may perceive here, is I am not a Max fan. Not to say, so I am a fan of Max, but I'm not a Max fan, if that makes sense. So I could appreciate greatness and what Max does and how Max races and the level at which he is at. I can appreciate that. Although I'm not a Max fan, I'm more of myself, I'm a Yuki Carlos Sainz fan. So going into this is there were actually two instances where we saw Max having maybe questionable racecraft here, questionable defending, and how hard he pushes those limits and those lines. So the first one was lap one, essentially corner two, really, although it was initially initiated, so to say, by corner one. So here, we're at the start of the GP, Max is in the inside of corner one, we have Lando on the inside. As we see them going through, let me put this to full screen, Max has a lockup here. He went too deep, cold tires, potentially, beginning of the race, heavy fuel load. So he goes in too hard. We see now, at this point, Max has a compromised line on the outside now of turn one, but more importantly, this turns actually into the inside line of turn two. So this is very, very important here to note here within the rules. Lando has a good run within the outside of turn two, as we'll see here. So as they go side by side, Max gets a decent run here. Lando does as well. They're here side by side. We're now into corner two, approaching corner two. Apex, Lando gets pushed off. Max stays within the lines, and we know the rest. So heading into actually Max's POV isn't actually that beneficial here. What we can see is from this, it would have been better if the camera here was looking straight on from Max's POV, but this is the same view, lap one, corner one. This is coming out of turn one. So we see here, he is alongside a little bit more, apex of corner two. He's on the inside line, technically, of corner two. He is allowed legally to push the outside car off because it's his corner. He is entitled to that corner. I'm not a fan of that rule, by the way. I would prefer more quote-unquote fair racing. But nevertheless, within the rules, by the rule book, Max is completely correct here. No penalty here, especially with kind of lap one lax rules that stewards usually look at this sort of stuff. Is Max would have never gotten a penalty here regardless. And he keeps it within the lines. Unfortunate for Lando. He had a great run, but just unfortunate positioning he had there, and that's just how the cookie crumbles, unfortunately. We get a better look at this with Lando's POV. It looks more egregious, more aggressive. So this is turn two, still lap one. Now we're heading into turn two. Max has compromised exit out of turn one. We have Lando here having a great run around the outside, but again, it's the outside of corner or turn two. So we see here, this looks egregious, actually. Max taps his wheel. Lando needs to make a correction, and he loses a lot of positions out of it. Max, has a moment as well. But within the rule book, he's an inside, well enough alongside. Lando, he's like slightly ahead, even. So he is quote-unquote entitled to that corner. Now, me personally, I do not like that rule at all. More so that the entitlement part of that corner kind of rule. I would love to see here is that if you are far enough along, or how I would like the rule to change is if you are far enough alongside someone and you're on the inside line or the outside line, that you are entitled to space rather than the corner. That would make it a lot more fair. So if we go back just a little bit on this view, is what I mean by that is here. So, compromise lane turn 1. Now we get into turn 2, pause, side by side. Both Lando and Max are side by side, so they're both entitled to space, is how I would like the rule to kind of unfold here, which would here force some more fair racing. So that would mean Max is not able to push a car outside of the track limits, and Lando would not be able to push, Max, or kind of squeeze Max out of track limits, is how I would like this to kind of unfold. So here I would like, ideally in terms of actual fair racing, in my eyes at least, in my opinion, is I would like Max to take a harder closed kind of angle here, more this view here, leaving space for Lando essentially on the outside for racing. But in today's rules, we see it a lot with what Max has done before, and how the stewards could kind of awarded or not awarded any penalties. That is the rule of the land right now. That's how it is right now, unfortunately, in my eyes. But no fault for Max here. Now we get to another example. We jump forward to lap 15 of the race. This is where Piastri already got ahead. Max had a lock up into turn 1, made Piastri have kind of an easy overtake into turn 2, and he goes off into the sunset ahead. Now Norris catches up back up to Max. They're going side by side. Turn 1, lap 15. We have a similar situation here where Max is inside, Lando's outside. Lando's actually slightly ahead here, but it doesn't matter because of the rules, right? The rules say if you are far enough alongside on the inside line of a corner or of a turn, then you are entitled to that corner. So because of that, if we look at this real quick, we see some hard racing here again. Max very much pushing Lando off the track here. I would actually say it is slightly generous here for Max, just because of the previous examples we have seen from Max and him going, doing this hard defending. Is he actually left the tires within the track limits for Lando? Is that important to this decision, to this defending? No, not really. This is hard defending. Unfortunate, and that's just how it is. Now, actually, if we go back a little bit here, what I do see is that Lando did have a chance to potentially defend turn 2 there, but it would have been very risky, especially against Max. Now we go into Lando's POV. Max's POV isn't really that beneficial here because it is a tail view or a rear wing view of this, but Lando, far enough alongside the outside, although gets pushed hard by Max, and then Lando has to kind of ride this curb, unsettling the car, and Max just goes on ahead. So based on these angles, based on the rule that it is right now, where the inside is basically king, we heard it, on the radio pretty explicitly throughout the race, where GP basically told Max, let him work for it, take the inside no matter what, and you should be a-okay. So the way the rule works right now is no, he did not deserve a penalty. Do I personally like that rule? My answer is no. I would like that rule to be changed, where instead of you are entitled to a corner, it would be you are entitled to space. That would make it so on both sides. So if you're on the inside or on the outside, if you're far enough alongside, either inside or outside, I would like that rule to be changed where you're entitled to space. That would make it for more interesting racing. That way, in terms of both defense and offense, you're not just running the other off the track. Because then, it forces the other driver to lose time, get some dirty parts of the track. And in my eyes, it also limits the amount of racing and battles we can have, because it compromises either the defender or the attacker, depending on who is on the outside. limiting any chances that they're able to come back or fight in consecutive corners. So that's my view on things. Let me know what you think, actually. I would like this to be a discussion because my view here is that no, Max didn't deserve a penalty, but I would like to see the rule changed. Let me know what you think about the rule itself, whether you want it to be changed or not, and if you think Max here deserved a penalty. Again, hard, but under the rules, fair racing, in my opinion. So with that, I'll see you next time.